Mike Sheridan, he'll get that set up for you. So we have with us Director of Athletics, Mr. Nicastro, University President, Father Peter Donohue, and Headmaster Basketball Coach Jay Wright. I'll turn it over to Father Peter Donohue.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming. I should preface all of this by saying we have a service tonight at 7 o'clock for the victims of the Connecticut shooting, which I have to attend. And so I may have to leave, but I will leave it in their capable hands if you have any further questions. I want to take a moment to address yesterday's news, and I'm sure all of you are well aware of what has happened over the course of the last 24 hours plus. But St. John's, Georgetown, Providence, Seton Hall, and ourselves, Marquette and DePaul, have decided to carve out a new basketball tradition for ourselves. This is a tradition that is based on long-standing rivalries between all of our institutions. We believe it was an important move for us to kind of take charge of our own destiny, to move our basketball prominence forward, and to really commit to strengthening all our athletic programs. We are very excited about this possibility. We are very excited about the move. And as we chart the course of this conference in the future, we are looking for continuing to strengthen our, not only our reputation, national reputation, but also our academic reputation, as well as our athletic reputation. All of the 7 schools worked very hard on coming to this decision. It was a lot of hours of negotiating and back and forth, and through the support of all of the presidents of the university, as well as the Board of Trustees of Villanova University, the administration, and many people who offered me their opinions by way of email and blogging. We have come to this decision to move forward with this new basketball-centric conference. So thank you very much, and Vince and Jay will answer any questions unless you have questions for me.
Vince, when do you think this league could start?
You know, technically, Aaron, through the bylaw process, we have, we're committed through this year plus 2 more, so we will be committed through June 30 of 2015.
Vince, is that non-negotiable, or is that firm, or what?
You know, that's the way the bylaws read. I think, and I'll just mention this, there are a lot of details and issues that need to be worked out over time, so you may have questions about those. I think it would be premature, Dave, to talk about specifics related to those, but I think that will be one of the things that will certainly come up in discussions as we move forward.
You have to pay an extra fee in this lunch.
No, Terry, the bylaws, we were able to exercise a provision in the bylaws that allow us to leave as a group of 7, and there are no withdrawal penalties or withdrawal fees as part of that.
What opportunities will you need to, I guess, do you need to take up whatever league you're expected to go into?
Sorry?
Opportunities. What opportunities are you most looking forward to about this change?
Well, I think the biggest thing for us is the ability to control our destiny and control our futures. I think that was the overriding factor. I can speak for Villanova on that. Is, you know, we're in a very unique time in intercollegiate athletics. As you all know, there's been a tremendous amount of chaotic reorganization and consolidation in our business, and we just felt it was time to be able to work together as a group to be able to control our destiny moving forward.
Father Donohue, along those lines, there's not one tipping point. I understand so many things have happened, so many schools have come and gone, but at some point you were against it, at some point you were for it. So what was the tipping point in your mind?
I think the tipping point in the mind of all 7 of us was as the school most recent departure of Louisville and Rutgers. There was a concern on all of our part about where the conference was heading and where basketball was playing a part in that conference. And it seemed much more prevalent of the basketball, or the football schools really seemed much more prevalent. And so then we began to talk about a lot of possibilities. And so it came to this decision after a lot of conversations and a lot of decisions about what we needed to do and where we needed to place ourselves.
Does this put the rest any thought of moving up in football to the FBS? Is that pretty much that issue now?
We are very committed to where we are in football right now.
Father Donohue, I was going to get to that. In retrospect, considering what went into that decision, it wasn't made hastily. How do you feel about the decision you made to take a pass on the FBS?
We really didn't make a decision to take a pass on it. We looked at it very carefully, and the invitation was never offered to us, so we pulled it back. And right now, I'm pleased that we didn't make the decision. It's been a very changing environment for football, and I'm very pleased where Villanova is situated right now, and I think all of us as a university are very looking forward to moving ahead with this kind of conference and really putting our emphasis where we know they should be.
Any reason that that number might increase? The number 7 might increase between now and the time you officially make the move?
Decrease or increase?
Increase.
Increase? There has been a lot of conversation about other schools, but nothing definite. No particular names have surfaced. No, not as of yet. There's a lot of details that need to be worked out.
And obviously, I'll jump in. The number 7 isn't a great number for a basketball league, so we will be looking at membership issues moving forward. But again, it would be premature to speculate on who those institutions or what that number might be.
Father Donohue, how important is the Big East name to Villanova? Is that something that's going to be involved in negotiations?
There will be a lot of things involved in the negotiation. The Big East has been we've been part of it from its very beginning, from a year after it started. The Villanova has been a part of it. It has been a long part of our tradition. It is important, and it'll be part of all the negotiations that will take place over the next several months.
Vince, do you have any feel if the football schools, Big East name's important to them to whether this is going to be just
You know, I'm not sure at this point, Mike. You know, the last 3 or 4 weeks we've been in the bunker really, you know, on a lot of these issues, so I haven't really had a lot of outreach with our football partners on this, but I think that's something that we'll see over the next few weeks.
Vince, is this just the 7 schools working together right now, or do you have any kind of like outside de facto commissioner who's helping you guys out, or consultant, or anything like that?
Yeah, right now it's just the 7 schools, but I think part of the next steps in this process, now that we've officially made this move to a different model or a different paradigm, will be to engage people that can lead us through this process.
Jay, football's been driving this bus now for a while for obvious reasons, for financial reasons. Does it feel at all good to...
I'm going to be here because we're going to talk about the game. So if you have any, because I know
All right.
Father doesn't have to go to his mass, I appreciate him being down there.
I'll wait. I'll wait.
As I know he's got to go. But if anybody has any other questions for Father, so he can, because I have to be here. I'll be here for a while. I mean, you know.
Yes, you will be.
What, does anybody have any more for Father?
Father,
Yes.
And you're free to jump in as well, sir. What most about this 31 years now in the Big East? I guess you know, it just kind of seems like actually we're just getting in. What most about the Big East will the two of you miss?
Well, I'll speak to that. I think Jay and I are probably 2 of the longer tenured folks in the Big East these days. And we go way back, and I think the association has served us extremely well for sure. It's been really part of the fabric of our programs overall. But we're looking forward, and frankly, that association has created this foundation for us to move forward in this next phase and move forward from a position of strength. So we're really sort of empowered by that foundation and what the future holds for us.
Vince, do you know what the next step for you, for the move is?
We're trying to get organized on the transition plan. So, you know, as we mentioned earlier, there are a lot of things that have to be done here in terms of membership and all these different issues that need to be negotiated, and we're committed to doing that in an orderly fashion. I think the presidents have been very clear about that. So I think this week will be a week where we try to get ourselves organized and then put a plan moving forward to address these issues. And it will take some time. I mean, this won't happen overnight for sure.
Vince, is there any, like, who owns the Big East name? Is there any...
That's probably above my grade level at this point. but there are the name itself, the bylaws do speak to that in this particular circumstance, and basically it's going to be up for discussion and negotiations. It's not clear at this point.
Any more questions for Father Donohue, so you can jump out?
Well, for Father or for Vince,
Last one for Father needs to go.
what's the reaction from the Big East schools that are being left behind? Do you sense anger, disappointment, or talk to other schools that are left behind?
Well, to go back to the question that was asked about what we'll miss about the Big East, I think we will miss the relationship we've had with some fine institutions throughout the country. They have been very cordial throughout this whole process. People have expressed their opinions about what they would like to see, what they were hoping they would see. Nobody has expressed any contention about it. I really have not had an opportunity to talk to the other presidents of the institutions outside of the other 6 that have been part of this decision. Mike Oresco, the present commissioner of the Big East, has been very helpful. He is a fine gentleman and has offered a great deal of guidance to us in this process. But all of the other presidents have, over the years, have been very supportive, and we've had a great relationship with all of them in those schools and developing rivalries with them. And that will be what I miss the most. And as of now, we'll move forward with this. This week it will start, and we will start putting the pieces into place and see where this road will lead us. But I'm very hopeful that it will lead us to once again to be a very prominent national institution that has a great basketball program to offer. Thank you.
Can I just ask one final one? Were you fearful years ago when BC started, when teams, schools started leaving to go to the ACC? Was that when you started, was it a number of years now that you've started to worry about the fact that this could happen? Did you think about that years ago?
Well, when I came into office, it wasn't happening. So that was under somebody else's regime. It seemed very stable. I've been in the office now for 7 years. So things started happening with the departure, for me at least, for the departure of Syracuse and Pittsburgh. That was the beginning part of the exodus from the Big East. And I think all of us were concerned about what was happening and the multiplication of schools that were coming in and trying to maintain a strength in the Big East. There are some fine institutions involved in it. And it was disappointing to see long-standing relationships end. But as we move forward, as I said, we're very hopeful. So things started changing or unraveling in different ways. And it was the 7 institutions that are basketball-centric, we made a decision that we needed to chart a different course for ourselves. That's really where it came.
Thanks, Father. Vince and Coach Wright will stay for further questions.
Okay. Thank you all very much.
Coach Wright, how does this affect recruiting, and your thoughts on that, like moving forward for you guys?
It hasn't affected recruiting yet. Even though the last couple of years things have been changing, and we're monitoring it closely. I do think that to use Father's words, charting our new path, I think gives us a chance to recruit in a way that's completely different than all the BCS schools. I think that's what we're going to probably use to our advantage. But to this point, it has not affected recruiting. Now, going forward, we'll see.
For either you guys, football's been driving everything for so long. Is this in any way feel like getting rid of an albatross so you guys can just be who you are?
Go ahead.
I would describe it as an albatross, but I think it is, as I said, empowering to have a clear direction, have a group of schools that are very intentional about playing to their strengths and not being distracted by those issues, and carving out a future for ourselves where we can control our destiny, but again, do it from a position of strength that clearly our association with the Big East has provided Villanova and the 7 of us a very strong foundation in order to launch into this. So that's kind of where I am on that question. I would call it an albatross, but it makes us more focused and more intentional about where we want to be well into the future.
How would this move affect your negotiations for the new TV contract?
Well, that's one of those issues that we'll be facing here probably in short order, so that now that we have announced this, our intention to move to a new model, that we'll be in a position where we'll be able to have discussions with various TV networks moving forward.
Vince, And how would this affect some of your other sports where you've had association with the Big East, such as lacrosse and soccer? Would they be still part of that conference or?
Yeah, so this is an all-sports conference. Obviously, we're focused on the basketball piece, which is so critical to the 7 of us. But it will be an all-sports conference, so all of our sports presumably will play except for football. You know, in these discussions, you don't hear a lot about those other sports, frankly, but that will be one of the jobs and tasks ahead for us, is to figure out where we want to be in terms of our national aspirations in those programs. And frankly, in the anecdotal and informal discussions we've had as ADs, we really don't want to be just a basketball conference. We want to be nationally competitive and have national distinction across a number of programs. And you've seen schools like Villanova, Georgetown, and others being nationally competitive, capable of winning national championships in different programs, like you mentioned, lacrosse and cross country and soccer and across the board. So we want to have a full array of national caliber programs when this thing gets up and running.
Vince, obviously this is just a couple of days old, but is there anything you guys have decided on besides we're going to break off the Big East?
That's a tough call in itself, so we spent all of our time focused on that, Dan. I think as we proceed here through the weeks and months, and we do decide on things, or things come together in a more clear way, we'll be sure to pass that along.
Jay, are there some things that you want to see from this league just right off the jump, so that you know you're not going to take a step backward?
You know, Mike, it's kind of happened quick, so I haven't put a lot of thought into that, except for the fact that months ago, even a year ago, people were coming to us and trying to talk us into doing this. You know, when we were committed to try to keep everything together. This has been going on for a while. There were outside factors that wanted you to do this, you know, not necessarily the schools, but, and they would always talk about, you know, being committed to winning. You know, you got to be committed to, everyone's got to be all in to win. You know, I don't, with these 7 schools, I don't think that's a question. I think that's what's so nice. And to go to Dave's question, you know, about being free of an albatross, we had a unique relationship in the Big East with football, and we were the only conference that did it. You know, we both kind of needed each other, and it was really nice. You know, we'd have the Big East meetings down in Ponte Vedra, Florida, and the football coaches would be there, and the basketball coaches. It was, you know, I would talk to my friends in the SEC, or they didn't do that. You know, we had a really unique thing, and we all wanted to keep that going for a long time. But as Father said, you just see where this is going, and I think with all of us basketball schools now being able to get together and say, okay, where are we going to go? You know, how are we going to do this? Not sit back and say, all right, let's wait and see what the football schools decide. Then we'll see where we're going to go. That's what I look forward to. I know everybody is all in to be nationally prominent programs. I think that's what's going to be key to this league.
Jay, as someone who grew up in the area and started your coaching career here in the Big East, and obviously coaching now, I mean, it's got to be somewhat of a heavy heart for you to see this happen. And what are the things that, like, I guess you're maybe most sad about because of this?
It's sad. It is. I mean, I grew up watching Pearl Washington and Ed Pinckney and Stuart Granger and Patrick Ewing, and all the way up to Kerry Kittles, Allen Iverson. I mean, that's what we all know of Big East basketball. And I always think when you think about Big East basketball, that's what you think of: Georgetown, St. John's, Villanova. You know, Syracuse was a big part of that. But it's sad. It really is sad. And the only thing that, in the same sense though, you know, I looked at ACC. I used to like ACC basketball, not as well as the Big East, but that's not the same. Now, the Big Ten's not the same. Nothing's the same. So the only thing in life that's definite is change. So when you look forward to what the possibilities are, it is really exciting. And as I said, for us to be able to control how we do this, I think we have an opportunity here as basketball schools that are committed to being nationally prominent to start something that no one else has, or no one else has a plan for, or no one else has really been able to do.
Vince, people, with all this conference jumping, everyone seems to be going outside their neighborhood. Except now you guys are constricting back into your neighborhood. Can you see a time when the economic forces aren't such that all this crazy multi-time zone conferences stop and the paradigm is such that you're allowed that all athletics are allowed to go back in their neighborhoods? Is that possible?
You know, it's possible. You know, I think that is one of the consequences of the power of television and how television has driven all of this realignment. And you're seeing, as Jay said, all the paradigms have changed. The rivalries that we've all enjoyed and loved over time have changed, have disappeared in some cases. And I think it'll take a little while, maybe 5, 10, maybe longer than that, in terms of years, in order for people to see those consequences of the power of rivalries now being maybe diminished in some way. So I think our focus is to come back and keep those things in mind. Obviously, the commercial enterprise around this is going to be really important to us. Make no mistake about that. We're in that game, and we're going to be in the television business in a big way. But at the same time, we want to do it in an intentional way that makes sense and maybe can bolster those rivalries as well.
Vince, Catholic schools are bust, or are you guys open to
I'll tell you, the criteria that we'll set forth will be non-denominational, I can tell you that. And we'll start with schools that are genuinely and have a demonstrated commitment to playing at the very highest level. We're going to see, and yes, it's not an exhaustive list, but schools that care a lot about the holistic development of their student athletes. We think that's important. Schools that are very attractive to media entities, so I don't want to leave that out. And when you start to populate that matrix, you'll probably see some Catholic schools in there, and you'll probably see some schools that aren't Catholic.
Would this move affect the Big Five conference? Would this move affect the Big Five at all?
No, I think we're committed to the Big Five. We've been staunchly supportive of that. We expect that to continue.
Then with all the decisions that need to be made moving forward, how is that done? Is that just a collective agreement again, a vote between all you guys? Is anybody appointed to any positions? How does that work?
Yeah, we're working through that. In fact, the president's had a call today, so that's sort of job one now, is how do we get organized and put this transition team in place. So I think within short order we'll have a team in place to do that.
Anything else?
1985, you guys won a national championship here, and you happen to beat your biggest rival in Georgetown, though. Is that going to be one of the biggest things that people are kind of going to look at your resume, even not just with the national championship, what, 3-4 years in a row you've managed to reach the Sweet 16? Do you think that'll be certainly something impressive that people will look at on your resume?
Sure. Our body of work going back a long, long time is tremendous, and the other 6 schools that we're currently partnering with have similar resumes. But even in the more recent year, I think a lot of us have had tremendous programs that have advanced well into the NCAA tournament, a number of Final Four teams, including us recently. So I think that will help position us, as I said, it's this foundation of strength to move forward. That's clearly a thing that will help us as we move ahead.
Thank you, Coach Wright. We'll take questions.